Nick from Vulcan Gun Refinishing here. Today we got ourselves a 1911 Colt pistol. This one is, according to the serial number, was built in 1918. It's a pretty complete looking piece. Quickly looked over most of the parts and everything looks to be pretty much original. First thing we can see right off the bat if we look is that it's got a Augusta Arsenal rebuild stamp on it right there. United States property. Got the, I see the faint inspector's stamp right there. If I can get that a little bit closer. Everything else looks to be pretty much there. It's got the proper, look like original wooden grips. I'm going to boil them and that'll clean them up a bit. They'll look pretty good, but they're not too bad. Grips aren't too shabby. Looks like there might be some pitting there on that safety maybe. Slide looks good. Serrations look good. I don't see any big issues there. Just giving it a preliminary quick inspection right now to see if there's something, glaringly wrong or glaringly obvious. We appear to have the right slide stop, right type of slide stop. The correct thumb safety, although like I say, it appears it could be a bit pitted, but it's got the short rip safety, which is proper. It's got the flat mainspring housing with a lanyard loop. That would be proper. It's got the correct wide spur checkered hammer. That, once again, is what should be on this, of this era. It's going to get in on those slide markings a little bit. One thing we could see right off the bat, get this to focus in a little bit nicer, is it appears the slide looks like it might be Parkerized. It just has that look to it, kind of a gray, more of a gray than a black look. The frame, tough call, don't know. It's definitely darker than the slide, so it could be, an old blue. We don't know if this thing was put together. We don't know the history of these things. It looks like there might be a little bit of pitting right there at the front. You can see it right by the front of the slide right there. You can see the significant piece of pitting right there. There's a few little marks and things along the edges here. A couple more along the bottom edge of the slide right in here. I don't see any other real bad pitting or anything, but once we bead blast, it usually opens up a few issues. It looks like maybe there might be something going on that slide stop. Looks like a little bit of pitting, and there could be some very fine pitting on the frame. Very, very fine. There's a few little marks and issues there, so you don't see any markings on the trigger guard. It's got the long trigger, which once again is correct. So everything, at first glance on this side anyway, everything looks to be good. I'm just going to flip it over and we'll have a look at the other side. Just zero in and have a look at those markings. I ran that serial number and it shows that 281290 was built in 1918. So we've got model of 1911 U.S. Army on the slide. And once again we got, marks, issues, a few little pits and things on the edge there. So going to need some cleanup. If we go in a little bit close, we can see the metal condition looks pretty good. I don't see any obvious pitting. There's a few, like I say, there's dings and dents and marks. Ejection port as usual. There's little issues that are going to have to be filed out. Get some dings and marks back here. Slide serrations once again look pretty nice. Little bit of Little tiny bit of issues going on here, but very little. I can clean that up with a file. You say we got some stuff back here, some marks in that metal. Don't see any bad. Once again, we've got evidence. I can see a little speckling going on in here, and usually that indicates rust. Any discoloration in the finish, any discoloration, is a good indicator that there's rust. Once you bead blast it, usually you find some pitting. That finish didn't get discolored for no reason. There's something causing it to be discolored. So when you've got a gun that's got a little bit of modeling or different colored spots on it, you can almost guarantee it's rust. It may not look like rust right now, but once it's bead blasted, it'll open right up. Once again, it's got the proper looking grip on this side. You see some of the checkering is kind of flattened. That may come back out a bit in the boiling. I'm going to boil these two grips, and they should clean up, nicer. They're going to be way nicer. I'm just checking for, obvious pitting. We got our usual little dings and dents and marks along the edge. We'll clean all that up. But, I don't see any great issues, pitting issues. Well, once again, I don't even worry about it much until it's bead blasted. I've been surprised a million times. So, I don't even hardly venture a guess. If it's really obvious, that's one thing, but it's when it's not so obvious, then it's a surprise. I don't see any big issues there on the grip strap. The frame is pretty good as far as obvious rust or dings. It's been reasonably, but see, I just don't like that discoloration. You can see that modeling in the finish, and that usually means something not good. But look at the top of the slide. It's once again decent. That front sight, there's something going on with that front sight that isn't proper. Well, we can fix that. We can change that. It's a minor detail. Rear sight is the proper rear sight, but the front sight we're going to have to change. So overall, just preliminary glance, the top of that section of the slide, once again, I don't see any obvious issues, but we're going to move in a little closer, have a little bit better look. I'm going to tear this thing down and we'll check its parts out. Don't know what kind of barrel it has. I'm just going to have a look at the mag right now, just to see what we can find. See if it's got any markings on the bottom, which I don't see anything down there. It's just a standard blued. It's not two-tone or anything. Just a standard blued mag. I don't see any. It's got a lanyard loop, so that's good. That gives us at least some military heritage. Just not 100% sure what era, or looks decent though. There's no big pitting or big dings or nothing. It's all very clean, very nice. So that'll be re-blued. This pistol is going to be put back to its original finish, which would have been blued. It wouldn't have been a real high gloss blued. It would just been a bead blasted finish. But like I say, I think the slide right now is parkerized, and the frame, well, I just can't quite tell. I mean, it looks brownish. It looks like old bluing, but I'd say that slide for sure has been parkerized. So, but once I'm done with it, it'll all be black oxided. So let's go ahead and get this one torn down. We'll have a little bit closer look at it, and then I'm going to get started on it before too long. Alright. So we've got it all torn down and degreased, and now we can have a little bit closer look at some of the parts. I just want to have a look at this barrel first. It's got some markings on it. I'm not an aficionado on 1911s, especially World War I. So it's got a few markings on here. I'm going to try and just get in nice and slow, see if we can get the camera to keep up with us. Right there is almost I don't know what it is, a V maybe. It looks like possibly like a V. Just not sure what that symbol is right there. It's right there. but I just can't tell for sure what it is. Then we've got another symbol up on the top here. It's almost, near as I can tell, it's like almost looks like HP. If I can get in. There we go. A little slower. Get the camera to keep up. Almost looks like HP right there. But can't 100%. That's sure what it looks like. HP. Anyway, the barrel looks decent. There's no major pitting or dings or flaws. The end's not all beat up. Everything looks pretty good. The bore is not the greatest. It's a little bit dark in there. A little bit rusty. Not bad, but not great. Needs a good cleaning, good scrubbing. But other than that, it's all looking pretty good. So no big surprises there. The worst part I found was actually inside the mainspring housing. This hadn't been taken apart or cleaned in decades, so it was stuck in there, just full of rust. I had a hard time to get it out of there actually, but I got it out, and we're going to bead blast it now, clean all this stuff up. So that should all clean up nice. The mag follower, I thought that looked a little bit strange, that mag follower, when I first looked at it, and it's a Packmeyer, so I guess we can safely say that's not the right piece. Anyway, so I'll get rid of that and replace it with a standard follower. I'm not sure if this spring, I'll have to check that spring against some other ones I've got. I don't know whether it's been modified or cut or whatever, but I've got other springs, so if I have to change it, that's no big deal. But I did notice something interesting on the mag. I didn't catch this at first. The mag is nice, it's very nice, but what I did notice about it, which is pretty nice, is it's got a, if I can get the focus once again, it's got a Canadian military, it's got the C and the broad arrow on that very toe. You can see that right there, C and the broad arrow. So that's got to be a relatively scarce mag. It's not really correct for this pistol, but it would certainly be good for somebody with a Canadian contract pistol. So, but it's a nice mag. I'll re-blue it, and it'll be going back in. Everything else, for the most part, there's no big pitting anything on any of the pieces that I'm seeing. Once again, we won't know for sure until it's all bead blasted, but mainspring housing all looks good. Hammer looks good. The checkering is still nice and quite sharp on that hammer, so that's going to look good once it's re-blued. It's not a bad pistol. It's not in that bad a shape. Just the worst thing I'm seeing is just and you probably won't be able to see it. I don't think the camera can really get you to appreciate. There's just a really fine coating of tiny pits on this whole gun. Just ever so tiny. But you'll maybe see it better once I bead blast it. But no huge disappointments or surprises. Everything's looking pretty good. Once again, in this finish, you can't tell a lot. We'll have a better idea once I bead blast it. But no huge disappointments or surprises. Grip screw bushings are original ones staked in there. They haven't been changed. And all the nomenclature, it's quite fine on this pistol, but it's if I can get it to focus in a little bit. It says property U.S. Army or United States property right there. So it's so hard to see in this finish, but once it's bead blasted, I'm sure it'll look a lot better. There's our serial number there. So, and I guess that's it for markings on this. Yeah, no other markings. So, hammer looks good, or sorry, trigger looks good. Got the long trigger, no pitting. Once again, everything looks good on that. Safety, that's the right safety, and it looks good. There's no big issues. There might be some fine pitting once I bead blast that. It looks a little suspicious. And slide stop, maybe. Once again, maybe might have a little tiny bit of pitting there once I bead blast it, but we won't know for sure. Grips, I just give them a quick scrub with some hot soapy water just for now. I'm going to boil them, but I just wanted to give them a real quick cleanup and just see. You know, I think these are going to come out pretty nice grips. All the grip screws are all, you know, quite nice. None of them are all stripped or anything. The one thing I did notice I've never seen before is the recoil spring plug is split almost the whole length of itself. You can see that great big split in there. So I've never seen that before. Original World War I production when they had terrible metallurgy? Not sure. Couldn't tell a World War I one from a modern day one. They all look the same to me. So that's going to have to be replaced. Barrel bushing is fine. No pitting, no nothing. It's good. Just, you know, weak on the finish. We'll just refinish it. So basically, you know, everything's looking extractor, a little bit rusty. You know, the gun wasn't the best taken care of. And this mag release screw is a little bit buggered up on the end too, so I'll have to either clean it up or replace it. But overall, you know, a little bit of rusty things inside. It hasn't been the best oiled, maintained gun, but you know, nothing horrible. It'll all clean up. There's nothing really all pitted or whatever, just a little bit dry and unattended. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all bead blasted, and I'm going to see about replacing, you know, a couple of these parts. I'll get a new one of these, and I'll get a new follower, and I'll check on that spring, see if that spring needs to be redone. But I believe that's it as far as parts that it's going to need, so that won't be too bad. So anyway, I'll get it bead blasted, and we'll have a look and see what she looks like. Alright, so we've got it all bead blasted now, and it's a nice way to do it because it gives it a nice satiny finish, and we can see all the little issues, all the pits. It's very important to see everything before you can give it an honest evaluation of time to repair and cost. And I don't like sandblasting, not for my inspection anyway. I mean, sometimes for, you know, park rising and stuff you have to sandblast, but I always bead blast first just to give it a nice satiny finish, and then we can see every little flaw and issue. So I'm just going to move the camera a little bit so that background doesn't confuse it, and I'm going to show you a few pieces, piece by piece, and we'll look at the issues that they have and see what we can do. The first piece I want to look at is the slide stop. It's got, if I can get our buddy here to cooperate with us, it's going to move in nice and slow. You can see some of the pitting. Get in here nice and slow. You can see, there we go. Now you can see some of the pitting there. You can see now some of the areas that are going to have to be fixed. Underneath too, it's got some spots. So once again, you see, we couldn't really see that too well until we bead blasted it. So you can't really judge anything until it's bead blasted. But you can see there that's, you know, there's quite a bit of pitting there that's going to have to be cleaned up and addressed. So the checkering is real nice, so we don't have to worry about that. Just a little bit on that face there and a little bit on the bottom. So that piece is going to have to be repaired. Let's have a look at the safety now. Safety, we've got similar issues. You can see there the pitting on that safety. So that's going to have to be all filed out and detailed. These parts aren't real hard, so I don't have to get them annealed. You can see it's been banged a little bit on this edge here a little bit, so that's going to have to be cleaned up. It'll take a little bit of delicate file work, but we'll get her. So that piece is going to have to be fixed a little. The mainspring housing, not looking too bad. There's a little bit of stuff there. There's a little bit of pitting going on the side there, you can see, but I'm not too worried about that. That's all going to be hidden. I mean, I could pass a file down on this face right here. There's my pointer. This face right here might be a little visible outside of the gun, so I might, you can see when I turn it, see how the light hits. It's got a few minor pits, but anything from this line inboard, I don't have to worry about. It's all hidden inside the gun, so trying to keep the guy's cost down here. We don't have to get too crazy. So overall, you know, not bad, but it's going to need, you know, you can see it's got some issues. The whole gun really has got a really fine coating of pits, really fine. But You can see on there, you can see all the pits, just thousands of little tiny pits. If I roll that, you can see it in the light. So that's going to have to be addressed. So that's number 3. We've got our hammer, our trigger, which is pretty nice. Not much going on there. You can see a little. Oh no, it's just dust that comes right off. So the hammer is looking pretty good. We don't have much issues or worries on that piece. So what else we got? We got our mag release. Well, of course that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That face might have a tiny bit of something going on there, but see if I can get it up close and we can see better. But it doesn't look bad. I mean, 1 or 2 passes with a file would have that straightened out. What else we got? We got the grip safety is okay. Once again, it's pretty decent, other than I saw some pitting going on right. Where did I see that? Yeah, underneath. Yeah, once again, it's not terrible, but you can see when I move it in the light, you can see there's just a fine smattering of really light pitting going on there. Really light. You can see it when I move it in the light, especially up near the top there. You can see the pits as the light's bouncing in and out of them. So that'll need a little bit of cleaning. Nothing major, but you can see right there too. That's pitted. The top of that is pitted. You can see those plainly. So that's going to have to be filed. So almost every external piece so far. Got our hammer here. Hammer looks pretty decent. Not much to say about that one. It's got good checkering. This one doesn't really need much in the way of repair at all. Checkering is all looking, pretty good. It's got a couple minor little things in there, but so we'll look at that. Here's our spring for the hammer. That was pretty rusty, as you remember, so it cleaned up pretty good. And you can see the pieces are pitted. You can see through the spring the pieces are pitted. This was pretty rusty, but that won't affect the functionality of it, and it'll be re-black oxided. So as long as it keeps it oiled, that'll be fine. What else we got? We got our barrel bushing, looking good. No big issues. That'll be fine. We've got the extractor was a little bit rusty. It's got just a little tiny bit of something going on that face there. There, you can see it. Camera's cooperating for bringing this in a little bit closer. You can see there's a little bit of pitting on the back of that extractor, so that'll have to be cleaned up. It'll make that look good. So what else we got? All the inner parts I'm not too worried about. The barrel, once again, is nice. We can see those markings there. You might be able to see that a little bit better now. I thought that was like an HP, and I'm still kind of thinking it's like HP, but not bad. Just still got that little tiny bit of roughness caused by bits of, microscopic bits of surface rust that left tiny pitting in its wake. So no markings on that side of the lug, but we've got that V or whatever it is. I couldn't quite tell what it was when we looked at it originally, but you can see a little bit clearer now, but still can't quite tell what it is. But that's the only symbols or marks that I can see anywhere on this thing. So, like I said, I'm not an aficionado on 1911, so that could be proper World War I barrel, not sure. Alright, now let's get into some more interesting parts, some bigger parts here. So here's our slide, and I'm going to move nice and slow. You can see the minor pitting. You can see that metal is not. You can see the pitting in there. You can see it's not perfectly smooth. The other thing that's kind of strange about this pistol is look at the angle of that line. How that line has been milled, well, you know, the milling operation on the slide left that line crooked. You notice how it goes downhill towards the back end there. You know, it should be a nice straight line like it is all the way along there. It's nice and straight. But then all of a sudden it gets there and it goes downhill. You can see that. So, but once again, just an absolutely complete covering of minor pitting. Minor pitting. That rear sight's got a few dings and dents. Well, that's the right rear sight. It's a proper World War I type rear sight. So if I don't have a better one in stock, I'll pull this one off and repair it. But just wanted to have a quick look at the issues here. Like I said, lots of little dings and just a coating of microscopic rust pits. You can just see as I rotate that, you can see all that pitting that's going on. Let me just get our buddy to cooperate here. You can just see all the, look at that minor pitting. You see it everywhere, as I rotate it. See how rough that finish is on that. Couldn't see it before in the crappy black finish that it had, but now once it's bead blasted, like I keep telling you, that definitely corrects all or exposes all sins. There's nothing left to guess about once you bead blast it. You can see every little issue and flaw, but just look at how pitted that is. I mean, it's really fine, but it's there. And lots of little dings and marks. And something else I didn't notice. Well, I knew there was something funny about that front sight. I mean, it doesn't look like a 1911 sight. It doesn't look like a World War I sight to me, but look at how someone has filed or whatever those steps in the back end of that, you know, trying to duplicate a 1911 A1 type sight. So I'm going to be pulling that sight off simply because, you know, it's going to give me access to the whole top of that slide as far as filing. But then I'll replace that with a proper World War I slide sight. So, but as I rotate this, you can see now plainly how pitted everything is. Just absolutely everywhere. Just 100% pitted. Once again, we got little dings and issues around the ejection port as usual. I'll clean all that up, file that up. We got a bit of damage on these serrations. You can see where that one is really flattened right up here, and it's got a pretty good ding right there. And as I rotate it, you can see, you know, there's a little bit of mark there, and so it's going to need a little bit of filing. It's not bad, but you know, there's a few little odd things, so we may as well clean them up, may as well mint this thing out. That's what it's here for. So, and once again, you can see more pitting and issues along that side, all the way along the side. Just you can see them all. None are real deep. Nothing's going to have to be welded here, and the nomenclature is really nice and sharp, so I shouldn't be, you know, destroying that. I'm going to have to take a little bit of metal away. There's no argument there. You can see all the little dings and dents along the along that leading edge there, just peppered with marks and dings, and it's typical for these things. So that'll have to be all cleaned up. The inside is nice. I noticed this here, which is kind of strange. I don't know, like I say, I'm not an expert on 1911s, but I don't recall seeing one with a big hole drilled in it in there. It should just have a little indent. So I don't know if that's for that Schwartz safety that I've heard about or not. Once again, we got a little bit of some pitting and marks along that bottom edge, on the very bottom. So we'll have to clean that up a little bit. And that lower section where the recoil spring sits in, that's, you can see that's pitted once again. It's all pitted. Everything is pitted. Some are a little deeper than others. Then we get into some little bit more damage. Now some of this probably going to have to be welded. That might have to be welded. That maybe has to be welded. That one for sure. And if I rotate this, you can see there's a few odd bits of damage along this leading edge, and that's typical for these things getting banged around. I mean, that's right out there, right out in the open, just asking to be banged. We got a pretty significant pit right there. That's going to need some weld. So, and what else we got? As we follow along the bottom, we got, okay, so we got another bit of damage right there. So that face, that whole face, oh yeah, and there's a pretty good, sorry, there's a pretty good little spot right there that's going to have to be cleaned up. Might need a drop of weld on that too. Let me check the very back. Oh, how's these Let me check these serrations while we're here. So once again, we got a few little marks, you know what I mean, little odds and ends that are going to have to be addressed. All the nomenclature is really, really nice, deep, nothing wrong, beautiful nomenclature. That rampant horse is just as crisp as could be. I mean, he's a little tiny bit weak up here at the top, a little bit. You can see where it's not quite as strong right there, but I'll be very careful with filing. But once again, you see, as I get in close, you can see that the pitting is even, it's in the letters and everything. You know, it's typical for these. So I will have to file a little bit in that nomenclature area, but I'll try to be careful. We had a issue here. Let me just readjust my camera a little bit. We got a few little spots and marks, you know, a few dings along that back edge there. Right there, you can see a few little spots right there. I'm trying to see if I can maybe move up really close, really carefully, and we can have a better look at some of those markings that are in there. Looks like maybe an H or something up at the top, right there. Let's see if I can get it in a little bit closer. Get our camera to keep up. Come on, honey. That looks like an H, and then down there is definitely an A. So, anyway, so that's it for the slide. So it's, like I say, it's got a complete coating. I'm not going to change the angle of that line either. That line's going to stay that way. It's been that way for almost 100 years, so I'm not changing it. But the whole thing's going to need just a gentle pass with a file, just to get rid of those fine pits. We're not going to glue this thing and have pits still in it. So that's the slide. Let's have another look at this side just for a second. So once again, nice markings, no problem. Just a few little dings and dents. But there's that there. So that's it for the slide. Now let's have a look at the frame. The frame is the worst of everything. And it's, you know, it's not horrible, but it's, once again, it's, if I get in close here, let me see if our friend will cooperate with us. If we get in close, we can see, there we go. You can see the United States property. You can see the, I'm assuming that's Augusta Arsenal rebuild stamp. So, but if I move slowly, let's move really slowly, you can see the fine coating. See them? See them there? As the light shines in and out of those little pits, there's millions of them. Millions and millions of little tiny pits. You can see them all in there. Under the states, you can see that pitting right in there. See all that pitting. So it's everywhere. And a few marks and dings, you can see them plainly. But everything, every surface, every inch has pitting. You can see it in there as I move it slowly. You can see the light, the way it's bouncing out of those pits. So this whole frame is going to need a little visit with Mr. File to try and clean that up. You can see there again, by getting close, you can see all the, if I angle it, you can see all the pitting there. You see all that? See all that? Look at that. Just millions of pits. So as I keep telling you, if there's any modeling at all in the color, anything at all, it's probably rust. You see there. Serial number's nice and deep, so that's good. That's a nice. That makes me feel good. Less chance of me destroying it. You know, I try not to destroy anything, but sometimes, you know, when you're doing the pits, but you can see in there, you can see all the pits. There's pits all around that serial number. There's pits. As I move this slowly, you can see them. So it's just saturated with them. Every inch has minor pitting. Minor pittings. You can see it's kind of bad right back there by the frame horns. You can see the pitting is pretty pronounced there. So it looks like probably this one as well. We're going to have to pull the bushings out. You can see some pitting there along the edge where the where the grip used to be. You can see it right there. See that pitting? It travels up along that edge. You can see it. So we're going to be pulling the grip screw bushings out once again. I hate doing that, but oh well. It's the price you got to pay. A few little dings along the bottom. How's the very bottom? Very bottom's not bad, but it's got its little bangs and nicks in it, so that'll have to be cleaned up. But on this side here, that plunger tube's probably going to go then. Mind you, it's got some issue. We're getting close. You can see the plunger tube's got rust pits in it as well, and dings. So we'll be changing that plunger tube. So, no major deep pitting, but tons of very small pitting everywhere. So I will. There's our inspector's mark. Now that's not so super strong to begin with, so I'm gonna really be careful around there. But you can see there's even pitting around that inspector's stamp. So there's nothing that escaped Mr. Rust. Nothing at all escaped. So how's our grip strap looking? I'm sure it's the same way too. It's all, yep, you can see you can see all the pitting in there. I move that really nice and slow. Look at that. So there's no way that would look good blued. You could maybe get away parkerizing it, maybe. But even then, parkerizing doesn't really hide anything, but parkerizing's got a bit of a rougher finish, so it might help disguise something a little bit. Looks like that line, that line is crooked. Might be hard for you to see, but this line is crooked right here. That line right there. It changes a little bit. It's straight and then it wobbles over. So you can see the pitting there along the edge of that line. So anyway, so that's a good review now of this 1918 Colt. Now we see exactly what we're up against. Now the customer sees exactly what we got to deal with. Look at all the pitting on that trigger guard. Look at that. So you can't blue that. That would look like crap. So look at that. So we're going to go ahead and get this all filed and mint it out. I'll keep you in the loop as I'm working on it. I've got a bunch of projects in, so we're going to be videotaping a lot of stuff. You're going to see an awful lot of stuff on YouTube over the next little while. I just wanted to have one look at this mag again now that we got it cleaned up. We'll have a better look. Oh yeah, that's right. The background confuses the camera. You need a plain background. So let me get this to cooperate, and we'll have a better look at that Canadian C-Broad arrow proof mark. You can see it right there on that toe. So they almost missed. They were right near the bottom. So this, that's got a few minor pits in it, but not bad. Overall, that mag is in real nice shape. That'll clean up quite nice. It'll be a pretty nice mag when we're done. So, it's not perfect. It's got some issues, but not bad. It is just a mag. So, anyway, a few little things there. You can see them. Yeah, you can see them a little bit better there. You can see all the pitting going on right there. See that? So nothing escaped from the rust. So, anyway, that's that for that. I'm going to end this video on this one, but at least now we know what we're up against. So I'm going to go ahead and get a hold of the customer and give him an outline of what this is going to need, and I'll keep you posted as I'm moving along on it. All right? Okay.